there, I'm Jazz, your pricing queen. So for those who don't know me, I am a design superwoman to my clients and a pricing queen to my students. I've been working in this design industry for the past almost 15 years, and for the last 3, I've been teaching pricing and creative business to freelancers all over the world. And I've actually been using FreshBooks for almost all of my freelance career. So it was a no-brainer when they asked me, hey, would you like to come on and chat about all things pricing and creativity? Absolutely. So without further ado, let's dig into today. So first question, is there a good resource to figure out pricing levels around the country? Put quite simply, no, there isn't actually a single one good resource that figures out all pricing levels all around the country, or let alone all around the world. Unfortunately, pricing is not a one-size-fits-all, one dish to serve the masses. Now, whilst it can be important to consider what others are pricing around you, or what the standards are when it comes to a different service that clients are paying and others are charging, that should be just one part of how you calculate your rates. Pricing your services should start from a salary that matches where you're at in your creative career, adding on the cost of running a business as business expenses happen, and then taking into account your working hours. You can actually find this calculation on my website, creativebusinesskitchen.com/askanexpert. The great thing about approaching it in this way means that you have a salary that is accurate to where you live in the world. Your running expenses and the expenses of running a business reflect not only the cost of that running the business, but also the cost of living of where you are in the world. And it also accurately reflects whether you are a full-timer or a part-timer within this freelance creative career of yours. If, however, you base your prices on what everyone else is charging, or what the market tells you what you should charge, you run the risk of actually pricing to what other creatives are experiencing rather than what you are needing to charge to live, work, and play. You could end up being undercharging or inaccurately charging. So base it on your own creative pricing strategy or pricing recipe. Now, how do you calculate and set an agency rate with confidence? Okay, now I loved this question because it's actually asking 2 questions in one. One, should we be charging differently when we serve a customer versus an agency? And 2, how do we serve our rates with confidence? So when we are serving our clients and providing our prices directly to them, we know what we're doing and we know what the expected outcomes are because we are controlling the process and are in charge of the workflow, so we can be pricing ourselves accordingly. The tendency is to lower our prices when we're going direct to an agency because they're handling the client liaison, or we aren't having to go and chase finding new clients because they're providing those opportunities to us on a silver platter. But they are also adding a markup in most cases on top of the rates that we charge them that they then charge the client. So when it comes to charging agency rates, I actually recommend keeping the rates exactly the same. Not only because of that client relationship and how that process works, but also when we go direct to an agency, we're often doing work for hire and therefore have less ownership over what we create. Now, when it comes to pricing with confidence comes from our experiences, from knowing and understanding the situations that we are walking into because we've experienced them before. Now, when we provide our prices for something that we are attempting for the first time, it's very likely that we are going to learn more than we earn. It is incredibly likely that the first time that you attempt something, that you try something new, or you do work that you haven't done before, you are going to experience hurdles, make mistakes, and some of them will cost you time, some will cost money, some will cost stress. And the key here is to learn from these mistakes, turn that learning potential into future earning potential. Take that experience, build that confidence from now, understanding what didn't work and how to avoid it in future. Implement that knowledge into the next job that you quote that has a similar scope, but increase the earning confidence because now you know more and are more confident in the way that you can and can't achieve that outcome. Adjust accordingly as you learn. how do you establish a blended studio rate? Say for an art director, UI designer, producer, developer, and copywriter all in the same studio. Now, having a studio rate that is blended is absolutely more of a niche problem to have. To break this down, if you are providing a service that needs different sets of skills or levels of expertise to be able to solve the particular problem in front of you, it probably comes with a different price point for each. For example, you wouldn't charge a finished artist out the same way that you would charge a strategist or a copywriter. My recommendation would be, when approaching a blended agency rate, working out whether the effort required to have lots of different levels of pricing within your pricing for those different services is worth the time, effort, and energy of working it out. If so, then you would look at creating a more bespoke quoting process each time that you approach different projects. And if you do decide that it's just too much effort or energy, I would take all of the different roles, allocate them a time and allocate them a rate, and then average it out in between all of those to have that blended agency rate that reflects the entire offering, knowing that some situations you may be losing out, but in others you'll absolutely be gaining. So once established, do you find it beneficial to estimate the hours you think a project will take, or track hours and bill accordingly? Now, when it comes to deciding how to bill your clients for your projects, there are a few different methods you can consider. Estimating the hours for a project or tracking the hours worked can both have benefits, but then also have fallbacks. So, if you have experience with similar projects, estimating the hours needed can help you provide that quote to the client quickly and accurately. However, if you're underestimating the hours needed, you think that you're going to be working faster than expected, you may end up working more than expected and then not be compensated for your time. Not ideal. Now, on the other hand, tracking hours worked to help ensure that you are being compensated fairly for your time and effort. It can also help you identify areas where you can work more efficiently. However, tracking hours can be time consuming. It may not be necessary for smaller projects or for clients who prefer a fixed fee. Ultimately, the method you choose may depend on the project sizes, complexities, the client's preferences, and your own personal preference. It's important to communicate your pricing method clearly and upfront to the client, and be transparent about any changes or estimates or worked hours throughout the project. If you find yourself going over, or you find yourself in a position where you have definitely underestimated hours, it is your responsibility as the creative to get ahead of that, communicate early to the client, and place the whole situation back in their hands to make the decision. Share with them the situation, share with them what you thought was going to happen, and then how the scope has changed, and that's included altering the hours. Communicate early, let them make the decision, and move forward and build that relationship so that they can trust you next time. Now, a common question that I get asked as the pricing queen is, what's the best way to share pricing? Hourly package rates on the website, individual tailored estimates direct to potential clients. So when it comes to sharing pricing information, it's important to consider a few different factors. You want to think about the type of services you offer, your target audience and the ways that they are familiar with purchasing or accessing services or services like yours, and your own personal communication style. So if you have set prices for your services, displaying them on your website can be a great way to be transparent and help potential clients understand if your services fit within their budget that they've allocated to hire someone for. On the other hand, if you offer a more customized or complex services, providing individual estimates may be better to directly work with potential clients, and it may be a better approach overall. But when it comes to deciding how to share your pricing with your clients, there will always be positives and negatives both on hourly or package rates, and putting them on your website and providing those individual tailored estimates to direct potential clients could be something that you choose to or not to do. If you choose to display your rates on your website, it can be transparent for clients to save them time, not having to provide that individual estimate for each potential client. However, it may not be a suitable, more complex or customized services. However, this method may be more time consuming, not very efficient if you have a high volume of potential clients, and some clients may prefer to see pricing upfront before they commit to anything. Overall, it's important to consider your business model and the way that you target your audience and how you decide to share your pricing information. If you offer standard services with set pricing, displaying your rates on your website will work well, but if it's more complex, then you might be going into an inquiry process. Ultimately, it's finding the right balance between transparency and personalization, and that fits your business. How much can I charge my clients for 1 hour of business advice? When it comes to business advice, this should always be charged at a premium. The rate that you can charge for 1 hour of business advice will vary depending on different factors, including your level of expertise and experience, the demand for your services, the geographic location of your clients, and the nature of the advice that you are providing. Here are a few things to consider when you're determining your rate for that sort of service. So your level of expertise. If you have years of experience in your field, or if you have an advanced degree or certification, you may be able to charge a higher rate for your services. Next, the demand for your services. So if there's a high demand for your particular area of expertise, say you've got a very, very niche problem that you solve, you may be able to charge more for your time because you're creating a very specific need and outcome. Now, the location of your clients can be really a big factor because rates can vary wildly depending from the geographic location of your clients. For example, rates may be higher in larger cities where the cost of living is higher. And then there's the nature of the advice that you provide. The complexity and the scope of the advice that you provide can also impact the hourly rate that you put on your time. For example, if you provide the highly specialized technical advice, you may be able to charge more for your time. Now, all of that being said, typical hourly rates for business advice can range from $100, $200, $500 or more per hour. It's important to do some research on the industry standards and the rates in your area to determine what it might be expected, but also take into account the calculated rate that you have worked out for yourself. Remember, advice is a premium service, so charge accordingly. Now, how do I set my rate if I'm unsure what the industry rate is? Your prices should not be set based on what the industry rate is, but your own unique recipe that reflects your costs of doing business. The hours you can work, the amount of profit that you want to make in your business all play a part. While understanding that what industry rates are out there and doing in your market research, it's all an important part of setting your prices. It absolutely shouldn't be the only thing that sets them. So you don't want to be going, okay, they're charging this much, I'm going to charge that too. What others are charging in the industry norms are only to be influencing your rate, not setting it. So here are my 4 steps when setting your rate for the first time. 1, do your research. Check out what other professionals in your field are charging for similar services and work out where you sit. You can look at job postings, online markets, or even ask around with your industry to get a sense of what's typical or expected. Now you need to consider your costs. Make sure you factor all your expenses, rent, utilities, materials, when setting up your rate. You'll also want to think about what reasonable profit margin looks like for your business, as well as for your working hours and for the way that you want to live. Think about your experience and expertise. If you have a specialized skill or significant experience in one particular field, you may be able to charge a bit more and have a niche offering. But if you're just starting out, you might need to offer a lower rate to build up your portfolio and reflect where you are in your creative career. And test it out. Start with a rate that you feel is just a little bit uncomfortable, and then adjust as you need based on feedback from clients, how things are going in your business, and how you're evolving. Remember, setting your rate is a balancing act. You want to make sure that you are charging enough to make a living and run a sustainable business, but you also want to set valuable expectations and attract the right kind of clients. Take your time, do your research, and you'll find the rate that's right for you for the moment. And then when you get to a point where you need to, you can increase your rate accordingly. My current rate formula is based on labor rate with some material cost markup. Am I missing out on something? If you're just starting out, this is absolutely perfect because you're finding out how long things take and learning how you best work. As your skills and your speed grows, you may want to switch over to a more project-based pricing model that sells your skills, experience, and outcomes as a whole number. However, you are completely right in thinking that you may be missing out on something, and that's adjusting for the value that you're delivering based on the client and the results that you're creating. Value is a critical factor to consider when pricing your products or services. When customers are evaluating whether to purchase from you or your competitors, you may find them often looking for the best value for money. Value can be defined as the perceived benefits a customer receives from your product or service compared to the cost that they pay. It's all that give and receive. It's important to remember that value is subjective. What one customer values may be different to another. For example, a customer may be willing to pay a higher price for a product if it's made from a sustainably sourced resource, whereas another customer may not place the same value on eco-friendliness. When setting your prices, it's important to consider the value that you are providing to the customer. Are you offering something that's a unique product or service that they can't find elsewhere? And maybe that makes it more premium. Are you saving them time or making their lives easier in some way? Are you providing them with a high level of expertise or personalized attention? These are all value adds within your service. And by understanding the unique value that you bring to the table, you can justify a higher price point, differentiate yourself from your competitors. However, it's also important to be aware what your target customers are willing to pay or have paid in the past, and to price your products or services accordingly in conjunction or in relation to what they have in the past. Ultimately, the goal is to find the balance between the value providing and the price that you charge. If you offer exceptional value, customers will be willing to pay a premium for the prices or products that you serve. However, if your prices are too high, you may struggle to attract customers and stay relevant and competitive. Ultimately, the goal is to find a balance between the value you provide and the price that you charge. If you're offering exceptional value, customers will be willing to pay a premium for your products or services. However, if you price your prices too high and out of their willing to pay spectrum, you may struggle to attract customers and stay competitive. But don't let that dishearten you. You just need to find the right client who has the right problem that you need to solve for them. Do you ever raise your pricing on existing customers, or do you keep loyal customers locked in at a rate? How do you determine when to change your rates and by how much? And how do you communicate that change to existing customers if you do raise your rates? When it comes to raising prices on existing customers, it can be a delicate balance between maintaining loyalty and ensuring that your business remains profitable. Some businesses choose to keep loyal customers locked into a rate, often referred to as grandfathered in, to reward their loyalty and maintain good relationships. However, others may need to raise their prices to keep up with increased costs or to stay competitive within the market. When you do decide to raise your prices for existing customers, it's important that you communicate these changes clearly and in advance. Explain why the increase is necessary and what benefits the customer will have and they will continue to receive. You may also want to consider offering incentives for customers who agree to sign a new contract at this different rate. Communicate early and get them to understand, because they are in business too. Alternatively, you could consider grandfathering in existing customers at their current rate and implementing the new pricing structure for new customers only. This can help maintain loyalty while allowing for you to adjust your pricing to stay competitive. Ultimately, the decision to raise your prices for existing customers will depend on your business needs, the market conditions, and your customer relationships. It's important to weigh the potential benefits against the potential risks before making any changes. But when you do choose to raise your rates, this may be around that 1 year point, or you have an opportunity to address the fact that you've gained more skills or more experience, then do the work to try and work out why you are changing your rates and then communicate effectively. If you are someone who needs help with raising your rates, I have a 5-day Raise Your Rate challenge on my website. So it'll be on the creativebusinesskitchen.com/askanexpert page. Head over there and I will have you raising your rates within a week. How can I ask clients to transition to a retainer from an on-demand pricing scheme? Now, I personally love retainers. I am definitely someone who has implemented them in my business, and I really enjoy having a retainer model available. Now, transitioning clients into a retainer model can be a bit tricky, but there are some steps you can take to make the process smoother and more collaborative. Start the conversation early. Give your clients the heads up that you're considering a retainer model and explain the benefits they are going to receive when they make the switch. Remember, the transition isn't just about helping you, but helping them too. You would then go into explaining the benefits of a retainer. Make sure that the clients understand that there are benefits such as consistent pricing, priority service and VIP, as well as access to your expertise on an ongoing basis. You may also offer incentives, so encouraging your clients to make that switch by offering an incentive like a discounted rate for different tiers, maybe for the first few months, or an additional service included in the retainer that they wouldn't have had access to before. Provide a clear transition plan. Outline the steps that are in the transitioning to a retainer model and include any change in service offerings or pricing. You may also need to be willing to negotiate things. Some clients may be hesitant to make the switch, so be prepared to negotiate and find a solution that works for both parties. Remember, communication is key. Be transparent about the reasons for transitioning into this retainer model. Listen to your clients' concerns and work together to find a solution that works for everyone involved. If you want to learn more about retainers, you can check out my free mini guide by heading to creativebusinesskitchen.com/askanexpert, and I'll have that free mini guide served up on a silver platter for you. How do you express value that's included within the price? When it comes to communicating value, we need to remember that it is subjective to the client. Communicating value is all about understanding what the client needs, what their priorities are. Every client is different, and what they consider valuable may vary from client to client. For example, some clients will be willing to pay extra for your expertise, while others are more focused on cost savings or just getting stuff off their plate. To communicate your value effectively, it's important to ask questions and get to know your client's goals and challenges. This will help you tailor your communication to their specific needs, highlight the benefits of working with you. This would be at the very start of the relationship when they bring that creative problem to you to solve. But also you might want to be doing this throughout the discovery process when you're writing the brief with them or having that first inquiry call. By doing so, you can help your clients see the value that you bring to the table. Build that strong relationship that's based on trust and mutual respect. Now, when it comes to value, your clients could be seeking one of these 4 things. 1, they could be seeking your expertise. Freelancers often bring a high level of expertise to their work. They may have had years of experience in that particular field or industry, and they may have worked with a variety of different clients and seen a lot of different things and projects that give them a diverse set of skills. When clients work with you as a freelancer, they can tap into that expertise and help them achieve their business objectives faster and smarter. Freelancers also offer an added flexibility. Unlike larger agencies, freelancers offer that flexible, personalized approach to working with clients. We can work with them on a one-on-one basis to understand their specific needs and tailor our services to meet those needs. This means that the client gets a more customized solution that's tailored to their unique situation and more likely to solve the problem in front of them. Also, we want to consider cost savings. So one of the biggest advantages of working with a freelancer is actually the cost savings that we provide. Even though we worry that sometimes we're too expensive, we are almost always going to be cheaper than hiring an agency. We typically have lower overhead costs. We're not this big business and we're not a larger agency. Clients only pay for the specific services that they need and they're accessing from us. This means that they can get that expertise and the support without having to pay these extra services or overhead costs. And the 4th one is wealth creation. When a freelancer has the ability to create something that helps their clients make money, it's definitely valuable. By contributing to the client's bottom line and helping them achieve the business objectives or creating wealth or wealth generation opportunities for them, freelancers can differentiate themselves from their competitors and build that strong, long-term relationship. Creating something that helps clients generate more revenue can be a major selling point, as clients are often willing to pay a more premium for a more premium service that delivers a tangible return on their investment faster and smarter. Remember, when you communicate the value that you offer, you are not just selling your services. You are showing your clients how you can help them achieve their goals and succeed in their business, growing it, revolutionizing it, or just doing it better. By being the freelancer that they need at the time they need it, you can build these long-lasting relationships with your clients and become a trusted partner in their success. So, before we wrap up, I just wanted to say a big thank you to FreshBooks for having me as their Ask an Expert guest. It's been a real treat to share my knowledge with you all, and I hope that I have given you some food for thought about pricing. Speaking of treats, don't forget to head to creativebusinesskitchen.com/askanexpert for a buffet of resources to help you cook up a successful freelance business. From savory tips like finding and serving clients to sweet tricks like pricing your creativity, you'll find everything that you need to whip up a winning recipe for your freelance career. And when the recipe doesn't make sense or you've swapped salt for sugar, I'm here to support you on your journey of creative success. So until next time, keep spicing up your freelance business with a pinch of creativity, a dash of determination, and a dollar sign that suits your business. Bon appetit!